sometimes a strategy that you just poured like 3 months into isn't working. And you're like, okay, now I have to acknowledge that this isn't working. So why is it not working? I think is like first question I ask myself. And then I will probably get feedback from the client. I will be like, okay, then we just have to pivot our strategy a little bit more. Just finding the tweaks and knowing that it's okay if something's not working. You just have to like come at it from a different way.
Alrighty. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fully Managed by Penji podcast, the podcast where we discuss marketing and business tips to help assist you in your business journey. I'm your host, Shannon, Penji's partnership coordinator, and I'm joined here today with a very special guest, Katie, founder of Katydid PGH, and I am very excited to have you on today. Thank you so
Thanks.
much.
I'm so excited to be here.
And alrighty, would you please be able to? I appreciate that, by the way. I would you please be able to say a little more about what you do, what your like day to day is like, and kind of how you got to this point?
Yeah, sure. So I started Katydid PGH about 6-ish years ago. I was working in banking. I had been working in banking for like 8 years and I hated it. I was miserable. Uh, I decided I needed a change. Um, and my husband, he's a software engineer. He's like, you should try web development. You should try web development. And I was like, I don't know. But eventually I listened to him and I decided to take just an online tutorial on WordPress and web development. And then I started freelancing and then I started Katydid and it's been amazing. And I would say like 6 months after starting, a lot of my clients were asking about SEO. And I was like, well, I learned web development. Why don't I learn how to do SEO? That's all I did. And that's kind of the main focus of my business right now is helping small business owners. They usually have like 10 employees or less. Um, Market themselves organically on Google. So that's what I do.
That's awesome. That's really nice that you were able to kind of like realize that your customers wanted something and just kind of adapt. I think that's really great. It's also really nice to, learn things over time. I guess I think like a lot of marketers value being able to just adjust to the times at all times, and I think that really helps, like, bring in customers.
Yeah, definitely. I also think that SEO is such like I feel like it's kind of like cryptic to a lot of people. So, they don't really know what's going on, like, they've heard it before, so I was kind of interested, I'm like, "Well, what is this all about?" And it does change over time, but, it's pretty easy to keep up with the trends. I don't know,
Yeah,
Google does a good job with, like, their documentation and stuff, so it's not a big deal.
yeah, that's good. Google can be tricky too, so it's nice to have someone to be able to help.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I noticed that you use kind of unique language on your website that I haven't seen before. I really like that. I think it's unique and I think it's attention grabbing. I was wondering if you kind of did this as a strategy or this just is just like the way you talk and this is the way that you wanted your website to be written.
Yes, I wanted my website to reflect who I was and the way I talk because I think that's, one of the reasons people choose to work with me instead of, someone else, like a big corporation or something. I am very straightforward, and I also understand that, as like I said, SEO is cryptic, so I try to use a lot of analogies and stuff and make it fun because I don't think I mean, it's boring to a lot of people, so I do my best to make it fun. I also, so I'd been that there's been a lot of iterations of my website. I also, got a copywriter to help me with some of the language because I was struggling with, like I'm like, "I really want this to reflect my personality." So, I mean, that in itself, I think is a good tip, which is like hire an expert if you're not an expert at something. It's okay. I was like, I don't know how to make this sound exactly like how I want it to sound, so I hired a copywriter to help me.
Yeah, a lot of people get in over their head with the amount of work that they think that they can do by themselves, and I think it's important when you set that line of, I don't wanna learn copywriting too." I think that it's good to know. 'Cause a lot of people, yeah, they don't wanna, spend money on something they think they're capable of something, and they might be, but then maybe you overwork yourself or you're not doing the things that you actually enjoy, so, if you
Yeah.
have the ability to hire someone to do something that you don't wanna do yourself, that's always great.
Yeah. It's okay to not be an expert in everything, which is, like, a hard lesson I know that I I had to teach myself over years and years, like, it's like, just hire someone who knows what they're doing because, like, you didn't get into the business to your business to, build websites or do copywriting. You got into it to make Christmas ornaments or, I have a client now who makes vinyl records. Like that's what they got in the business to do, not like all this extra stuff that you don't have to be an expert in.
Yeah, exactly. Have you had any, unique clients that, was, like, particularly exciting for you to be able to make a website for?
Websites in particular, I mean, I've done an astrologist, which was so much fun, and I got to get my, like, chart read and everything, which was really
Oh.
cool. I really liked building that website. Um, an acupuncturist, I thought we'd built a really awesome site for her. A couple breweries, like, I honestly, I am excited about every single one of my clients. Which I
Good.
feel, like, grateful that I could say that. And then SEO in particular, I have which is what more of my clients are doing right now. I have, like I said, the vinyl record pressing. I was so excited to get them as a client. Like, it was so cool, and I got to go see, like, how a record is actually pressed and, like, their QC process of, like, this thing all of the audio and making sure it's all perfect and everything. And it was actually the business was started by a bunch of musicians, and I love music and concerts and stuff, so we got along very well. Like, it was so awesome. Yeah.
That's incredible. I would be really excited about that too.
Yeah.
How do you get these clients kind of coming in? Is it something that's natural, like word of mouth, or do you have any strategy for that?
Yeah, so I think that the number one way that I get clients is definitely word of mouth, but that means that you have to actually, promote yourself to do that. Which I think is scary for a lot of people. But I do a lot of local clients, so it's always good to market locally, which I think people miss because they're like, well, I don't want to just be known in this area. And I'm like, yeah, but it's a good way to start out. And, word of mouth clients are the best clients ever. I've never had a word of mouth client complain about pricing or process or anything like that. Like they're always amazing. And then I've started this year, I started using LinkedIn to market a lot, um, and kind of focus on there because there's business owners on there. So that's where my target audience is. And I was like, why haven't I thought of this before? So there's that. And then I also do use Instagram, but Instagram is really tough. So tough. I try not to uh like, make that my sole priority because it's hard to get clients on Instagram, so I think word of mouth and LinkedIn have definitely been the best for me.
That's really nice. Even like I I know LinkedIn is even troublesome sometimes because a lot of people kind of know that you want something from them if you reach out to them. It's nice to have, yeah, it's nice to have connections and get to know people, and I think that's, like, the best part about it is, like, if you know this person, then if you connect to someone that you're interested in that's related to them, they'll be more inclined to talk to you because you know so and so person, which is really nice. Connections are very great in that aspect, but then I think contacting someone is another thing
Yeah.
because a lot of people it's very difficult to you can personalize a message as much as possible, and people will still think that you're spamming them or that
Yeah.
you're not a real person. So, it's definitely a crapshoot. I can imagine that, Instagram is not any better.
I try to genuinely have conversations with people, like, because I feel like if you contact someone in, like, DMs or something in either LinkedIn or Instagram, they're automatically suspicious. So, I think, like, if I had to give any advice for that, it's to have a genuine conversation with people and, actually get to know them before you're, like, starting to sell to them and stuff, and try I mean, go in it trying to make connections with people, not necessarily trying to sell. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great advice because I think a lot of people are just trying to get that initial response and, by kind of going into it asking for something is not the best move for sure. So, we talked about how you keep custom or bring in customers kind of, and this is like a great strategy to be able to do so. How do you kind of your process for keeping them, communicating with them throughout that, making sure they're happy with their end result?
Yeah, so, I start every, project with, like, a disclaimer, like, "Listen, this is a business. I'm building you something for your business," especially if I'm building them a website. So, I need you to give me feedback on it, and you're not gonna hurt my feelings, like, I want this to be yours. So, I also go at it more as a collaboration, because I think people are more, open to that and will give you genuine feedback. So, I do that, and then I just keep them updated in the process, like, if, something isn't going as what am I trying to say? Something's not going as expected.
Sorry. You're good. No, no, no. I was literally like, I'm pretty sure you're meaning to say expected, but you kind of said it before. So I was like, maybe it's not the word you're looking for.
Well, so if something's not going as expected, I am just honest and I'm like, "Listen, this is not working. Let's try something different." Come with it come to it as like from a solution standpoint instead of, "Oh, this isn't working, like I can't fix it, whatever." So that and keeping in contact with them. And then I also like to follow up with them like even later, like, after we've completed our project, like months ongoing and stuff like that, I'll follow up with them and just be like, "Hey, how's it going? Is there anything that I can improve upon or anything like that?"
I think it's really great to maintain that kind of transparency. When you were saying that you were being honest about something not working. I think that a lot of people would rather maybe like cover that up and be like, oh, if they don't notice, I'll just do this really quickly and kind of try to make up for it. But I think people really appreciate that honesty. So I
Mhm.
think that's really great.
Yeah.
It's oops, sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off if you were so sorry.
That's okay. I was just gonna say definitely, like, it's always better to just be honest about it because, like, if something doesn't work, people know. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
We're all human too.
yeah,
So it's just like it's
exactly.
okay to, there to be a mistake or maybe something that you thought would work would not. And then you just have to move on from that. And I think people appreciate knowing that rather than being like, when did this happen? Or why is this taking so long? Or different things like that. It's like good to communicate with people throughout the process.
Exactly.
So, okay, say that you do make a mistake or something like that. How do you kind of what is your own process now for just communicating with the customers? What's your own process of fixing that or kind of trying to remedy it?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. So, like, when it comes to SEO, I wouldn't really call them mistakes, but like, sometimes a strategy that you just poured like 3 months into isn't working, you know? And you're like, "Okay, well, now I have to acknowledge that this isn't working." So, why is it not working? I think is like the first question I ask myself, like, "Why isn't this working?" And then I will probably get feedback from the client, and I will be like, "Okay, well, then we just have to pivot our strategy a little bit more. Maybe we're not, like, talking to the people that is actually their target audience, or maybe, they don't wanna they never wanted to focus locally, but maybe I try to push that again because, most of their clients are local or something like that.
Mhm.
It's just finding the tweaks and knowing that it's okay if something's not working, you just have to, like, come at it from a different way.
Yeah, I think that, that's really good to be able to do you ever take feedback from, your customers as well during the process about these particular things? Like, they come to you maybe not even feedback, maybe, they come to you being like, "This is the audience that we need to reach. We just need you to reach them."
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like, because whenever I do an initial audit, I'm like, this is who your target audience seems to be. If you could describe your target audience, who are they? And sometimes it's different. Sometimes it's similar. But that's kind of the feedback that I'm always getting. I also like to ask someone else who would maybe be like a third party or like objective. So, you know, someone who's never seen this product or service or whatever. I'm like, okay, if you go on this website, like, what are they selling? What do you like about it? What do you not like about it? And sometimes the client's open to that, letting someone who doesn't know anything, like, go on their site and get, feedback from them too. Because sometimes whenever you're looking at your own website over and over and over again, you're just seeing it from your own particular mindset, and maybe your target audience doesn't have that mindset.
That's actually really helpful. That's actually something that I actually haven't heard before, which is really smart, but something that I feel like, is a great space to get out of your own head, when you're looking at something for so long. I think that can kind of apply to so many things, like, you just need,
Right.
like, a fresh eye on especially a website where you need things to be conveyed specifically through that. It's not just, um up to interpretation, like, you need things to be very clear, and you may be looking at something and being like, "This makes sense to me. This is very clear and concise," but then someone else might look at it and be like, "I do not know where to find this thing that would be important," or, "I don't know how to do this and that." That's really great actually to get, like, a second opinion,
Mm.
because also the business who's doing that thing, um, might obviously know it's clear to them what they're doing, so they're not looking for in a customer perspective or a potential client's perspective of, "Oh, this is hard to find. This is difficult," or, "I don't understand what they're selling or where or how much." So that's actually something that's really unique that I haven't heard before of looking for another perspective on someone, which I think this is very smart.
Yeah. I think the most difficult part, especially for SEO, is that I get the most pushback from clients about, like, copy and the language that they have on their website because they're coming from it from a expert level of that thing. And so they want they're usually, like, really set on how they want something to be expressed, or the correct way, or the right way of describing something. But you have to remember that usually your ideal client is not an expert at all. They're just, like,
Mhm.
brand new beginner level. So they're not gonna know the correct way of doing something. They might be searching for it in a different way. They might not know this, like, special industry term that you just keep throwing around that you really want on your website. And so that's where I get the most pushback, is from um my clients who are, like, expert level, and they're like, "No, it needs to be said like this. This is the correct way." And I'm like, "But no one is searching for that correct way."
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. How do you deal with those situations when that happens? Like, say you disagree.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say that I can always resolve it in a manner that I think it should be resolved in. Like, it's usually like half and half. Like, I'll be like, okay, but if someone is searching for this is how they're gonna search for it. And it is nice because I do have like actual data that shows like this is what appears in search results. Like this is what people are actually searching for. So normally if I just explain that and show them like here's the volume of searches, here's the exact words that people are using, they're like, okay, that sounds good. But there are some clients who just like don't want to do that. They don't like the way it sounds. It's not correct to them in their head, and that's fine. Like
Mm.
we can do that, but then we're going to have to maybe concede on something different, or I'm going to have to limit the expectations a little bit more. I'll be like, "Okay, that's fine, but then you're not going to be found for this particular search term that you want to be found for." Like
Mm.
that's just the way it is.
Yeah, just giving them the reality of, "I gave you this advice, and you don't have to listen to it. I'm here to work for you, but, um, if you don't wanna listen to it, the outcome might be different than expected
Yeah,
because this is what I've seen."
right, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, sometimes that you have to do that, or I don't has there ever been a situation where you've kind of had to say no to a client, like a potential client, because you know that it will not be a good outcome?
Yeah, so, like, I had a couple clients in the past want me to, like, put keywords on their homepage and then make them transparent, so they're there, but you can't see them. So, like, like, make the keywords, like, not so that people can't see them, they're transparent, like, the color of them is actually transparent. And I have to be like, "No, that's actually against Google's best practices. I can't do that." Like
Interesting, I didn't know that that was a practice.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and it's just
That's
because
so
they
interesting.
don't know, like, "Oh, well, SEO is all about how many of this
Mm.
word you have on your page, so if I just, like, hide it and it's there, it might not, work with my copy, and I don't wanna change my copy, so just hide them." And it's like, "No, I can't do that, sorry."
That's really interesting, I didn't know that. That does feel kind of like cheating,
Yeah.
that it makes sense that it's against, but best practices, it's not included in the information on your website, you're just trying to get clicks, which
Yeah.
is
I think it's
ah.
funny when people try to, like, game the system, especially when it comes to Google because, like, listen, the people that are writing those algorithms are way smarter than me and you and everyone else, and that algorithm is probably smarter than me. So if you thought about it, they've definitely thought about it before, so you know what I mean?
That's insane. That's actually that's just very interesting to me. I love learning new things about, which I just did not know that people did that. That's kind of I don't know, kind of a shock, but not really. I mean, everyone's trying to, go around things in different
Yeah.
ways. So that's interesting. And honestly, maybe like there's no bad intentions. They're just like this makes sense to me. Like why not?
Exactly. I don't see it and just put in there, like, trying to cheat or whatever. It shouldn't that's if you know a baseline, basically nothing about SEO, that makes sense to you. I can
Yeah.
see it. Yeah.
Think, okay, like we need to rank for this keyword, but we don't want to change the wording on our website. Can you just here you go. Yeah, no, it makes sense. Logically, it kind of does make sense. Okay. Well, that's fun. I love learning new fun facts every day. So after so we talked about how you gain customers, how you communicate with them, how you keep them. How do you kind of guarantee a referral? And the referrals are very important in this business. What's the strategy that you take to be able to get that kind of that feedback and get another client that you would be happy with?
Yeah, definitely. So, make the customer experience good while they're, you know, your client, that's, like, obvious, obviously. But I also think you ask for them, like, just ask for them. Like, Some people find it slimy or, like weird to ask for referrals, but I have so after my our contract is done, if after my contract is done with someone, I have an automatic email that goes out that's like, um, thanks for working with me. I really enjoyed it. Can you write me a review or whatever? And so they'll write me a review. And then I have one that goes out after that and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, thank you for the review." Um, this one I usually do personally because I like to reread through all their comments and stuff. And I send them one and I'm like, "It's so awesome that you had such a good experience. Do you know anyone who would also benefit from doing SEO with me, or can you recommend anyone else to me?" Um, I mean, that's what you have to do. You just have to ask.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. It is important to just ask. That's all you like, I don't think it's easy or anything to ask. I think it's just, "I did good work for you. Would you be willing to recommend me to someone?" And I think that doing it when they're happy and everything's complete, is the best time to be doing it because some people are less inclined to do it at a later date because they remember being happy less. But yeah, no, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think referrals are again very important in this business or anything adjacent to it. And I think that you even said it earlier in the conversation. That's where you get your best clients a lot of the time because
Definitely.
you have to explain the process less to them because they're already informed by someone else about it.
Mhm.
They're excited to use you because of seeing the results from someone they know. And yeah, I think it's just an easier process, and they know how you work already a little bit, and that's all you can kind of ask for. You don't have to. It's less of an introduction.
Yeah. They're more of a warm lead. They're definitely like, even though you're just meeting them and you just got it, it's a warm lead. Because someone is handing it off to you like that they know personally.
Yeah, I don't think that there's. I think that's the most ideal candidate for someone that you want to talk to, and they're already somewhat trusting of you too, which is really good because building trust is really important with this, and a lot of people are really scared of wasting their money on something that they won't like the end result for. So seeing an example of that is really helpful.
Mm.
All right. Well, that is all the time we actually have today, but I really appreciate you coming on and this was an absolutely incredible conversation. I love learning new things. This is like my favorite thing. So I did I did learn new things and that's always what I hope for in every podcast. So thank you so much.
You're so welcome. I had such a good time.
And thank you everyone for watching. And don't forget to like and subscribe to see more stories like this. And I appreciate you watching. Thank you so much.